Thank you.
How's everything going?
Oh, these are always fun, man. This is the most fun you could have if you like making genre entertainment. This is the Academy Awards, man, you know?
Okay. Tell us some of the challenges of doing a weekly episodic TV show as compared to doing a mega blockbuster.
I think it's the biggest difference is speed chess. You know, when you do a blockbuster, you have a lot of time to prepare it. You know, you have a way bigger crew. You've got a lot of brain power trying to figure things out. You know, in television, you often don't know what you're going to do 2 days before you do it. So you got to rely on your instincts. You got to hope you're right, and you got to move really fast. But that's also the fun of it, because you don't talk something to death, and you don't talk yourself out of good ideas, because that happens a lot too. So yeah, I love what's happening in television now, and you know, the truth of the matter is, you know, when I was growing up in this business, television, you know, there was 4 channels, and they were dividing the pie in 4 ways, so they were so frightened of losing their audiences that it was a very formulaic, very kind of packaged thing. And movies was where you could do really interesting, creative stuff. And what happened is movies started to cost more and more money, and suddenly everyone got more and more frightened of losing that money, and it became more and more formulaic. Meanwhile, television went out to 500 channels, and the only way that you could make a name for yourself as a channel is to do something interesting. So there was kind of this flop. And you know, I had this conversation with a studio executive recently where they were arguing about casting a certain actor because they said, oh, he's a TV actor. I said to the studio executive, I said, look, don't trust me on this, but call your family, call your friends, ask them if there's a single movie that this studio is putting out this year that people are as excited about as seeing the next episode of Game of Thrones. You know, if you don't start to understand that there's something really interesting happening in television and you don't start to co-opt it, you're going to become irrelevant. You know, I think there's this idea that there's this giant separation of church and state. It really isn't anymore. You know, I mean, you're seeing great writers go to television, great actors go to television, and vice versa. So I think it's really more about where does the story belong, as opposed to is this a big boy pants or not big boy pants.
So the Librarians has a serialized element to it, but it's also very procedural, and
yes.
that each episode is sort of this mission that we complete and we go.
Right.
Is that going to stay the same in season 2, or are we going to see it? Are we going to see more like longer arcs for the characters?
What our hope has always been is that we didn't want you to be in a situation where you miss 2 episodes and now you don't want to watch because you think, oh, I'm too far behind and I'll wait till I catch up at some other point. We really want to make a show that you can tune in at any point and you're going to enjoy the show. But at the same time, we wanted that if you're a fan of the show and you are sticking with us, you get something extra. So there are overarching things as there was in the first season, and there's maybe a little bit more of that in season 2, but never to the point where if you haven't seen it, you can't watch the episode and enjoy it. So that's always been the balance that we talk about and we try to maintain.
How do you choose, when you're looking at your characters and where you want them to go, first, do you know where the characters are going to be at season end? And second, how do you choose sort of the challenges that they're going to face to get them to the end?
Well, usually what happens is John Rogers has some very specific ideas. Not even just this season, but like where he'd like to be in 5 years. But then what happens is we'll watch dailies, and we'll watch these actors do stuff that we didn't anticipate. And very often someone will say something about a guy's father, and Christian Keynes will make a little look, and John Rogers and I will go, what was that? There's something going on with him and his father. Oh, let's write that. And, you know, there's interesting stuff going on between Cassandra's character and Jenkins that none of us thought about. We're like, what's that? What's that relationship? So then you want to write to it, you know. So I would say that the actors themselves probably have the biggest influence on where the characters go, if not so much intellectually, but instinctually, because they know these characters better than we do. They live with it 24 hours a day. We're just trying to think of the entire show and an arc. They really know their individual characters, so they know how they're reacting to things in ways that we don't anticipate. And that, to me, is when it gets really exciting, because then it's organically growing.
Can you give us any insight to what other mythical areas you're going to explore in this season and possibly beyond in the future?
Well, I think the thing is, for the 10 years we did the movies, it was kind of like Men in Black. In other words, the world didn't know about magic. Only an elite couple people knew, and they would go and they'd find these things and hide it. Well, when we started the series, magic got released back into the world. So last year was understanding how it got released and where it is. This season, it's how do you put the genie back in the bottle? Because we're getting to a point now where too many people have seen too many things that you can't, we don't have the magic spray that erases people's memories. So what do? And so I think that's a big part of this season, and hopefully it's going to really expand, and if we are lucky enough to get a third season.
We're out of time.
Oh, thank you guys for talking to us today.
Thank you.
Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.